Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Who's there? Someone say something. I can see attendees. Yes. No. Say hi. Wonderful. Okay, I see you all. What's very odd for me because I do not hear, I do not see any of your faces. Talking to shadows. So yeah, I'm just gonna make this work. Wonderful. All right. Okay, so already someone has a hand up. Da-da-dee-da-da-da. It is a pity that we don't see each other, and it's a bit disconcerting for me a little bit. We will try to see if all right, someone has raised their hand. Okay, let's see. Allowed to talk. Okay. All right. Lao, Lao, you are unmuted if you want to talk. I can also promote you to panelist if you want to show video. All right, I think by default, you might all be maybe muted. Um, but let me just give you a few notes. First of all, my name is Jenifa Mayanja, as you see there in the my little screen. Hello. I am in the US right now in the States on the East Coast, so you wouldn't know that from my fancy background that keeps going in and out. It's quite funny to me, but hey, we're in the Zoom world now, and that's how it goes. So, just some things for you all to get started. First of all, the workshop is unlocking creative mindsets. So you're in the right place if that's what you're looking to do. Uh, this is an interactive workshop. If anyone has took my last workshop I did for DICE, you know that there'll be definitely moments where you need to do some reflection and write some things down. I think it's just more useful for you to have those types of options so you can take something away with you that you can think about, because sometimes in the moment things don't quite connect, but later you think about it and you're like, yeah, okay, right, I get it. So first thing is make sure you have something to write with, notebook, phone, whatever. Just have something so you can participate, because there is going to be some sections where I would like your participation for sure. I did want to do some group activities, but unfortunately, I found out that we are in a different type of. I didn't know what the talk was for. It's all good. So, what's important is that you participate. All right, I think it's important for you to um, allow yourself this moment to participate in the exercises and the questions that I give, and do your best to answer. This is for you, this is for your benefit, help you grow as a person, help you grow as a creative person. So just engage with it. All right, you have nothing to lose. Just try to go with it. Um, I think that you will find it useful in your practice from now moving forward. So engage with the exercises. There's possibly might be room or time for Q&A at the end of the workshop. So if you have specific questions about how what we talked about could relate to you in your life or on a project or a situation, feel free to put something together at the end. hopefully we will have time to do that. You can drop your questions in the chat, or if you want to talk, if you want to show your face, we can make that happen as well. But just bear with me. Again, there's a lot going on. There's a chat over here. I'm looking at slides. You know the drill. You know how it goes. All right, are we ready? Everyone say ready. Drop something in the chat. I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. All right. Yes, I love it. I love the participation. It makes it so much better. Yes, let's go. I'm with it. I love it. All right. So, yes, into it. I love it. All right. So, let's get it started. Here is your first entry into participation. I'm going to ask everyone to just think about this question for a minute and then drop me something in the chat. What does it mean to be creative? Think about that. What does it mean to be creative? What does it mean? Think about that. Drop me some answers in the chat. What does it mean to be creative? A creative person. What does that mean? Crazy. Yes, crazy. Come on. What does it mean to be creative? Give me some answers. Chaos, to be freer in the world. Love it. Okay. Nice one. Oh, we're still having problems with boxes? And in yourself. Okay. Create something that doesn't exist yet. Oh, I love that. Create something that doesn't exist yet. Okay. All right. We're having some issues with boxes. Okay, let's see. Is that better? Can you see better now? Yes? Okay. I think it was the participant box was blocking things. So this is a work in progress here. Wonderful. Better. You can see everything now? Yay. And one more to the right. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, let's try this, guys. I'm going to go into full screen and see if that's better. All right, so bear with me here. Oops. Go. All right. Can we see better here? Or am I still in the way? That is scrumptious. The boxes are still there. Can someone describe the boxes? What boxes are you seeing? Are they little? Are they big? Oh, this is such a all right. I think take it off full screen and make the slides blue, gray, diagonal. I know it's covering up perspectives. Gotcha. All right. I think this has to do with chat and what have you, but what's more important is let's not worry so much about my beautiful slides. And yes, you will get the PDFs of the slide. You will get it. So don't worry. The slides are really more for me just to make sure that I'm get you information and also just to make sure that you guys are looking at something that's entertaining besides my face. All right. So don't worry about that so much about that. Just listen to me. Okay. All right. So we have some great answers in there. So you kind of get the drift here of what I'm talking about. What does it mean to be creative? There was some chaos in there, crazy to create something out of nothing. And all of that would be true. So you're on the right track about what we're talking about being creative. But the workshop is about creative mindset. So what I'm trying to do here is just to see if we can get an understanding of the separation of creative and creative mindset. I just want to give you a quick story here very quickly about arriving to this idea of creative mindset. when I was young, very, very, very young, from a very early age, I had this instinct to just create things out of imagination. I didn't really think about it. I just kind of did stuff. And as you go on, as you do a thing, you gain confidence that you can kind of do anything. And I always felt like anything was possible. Like, hey, you want to fly a plane? Why not? Uh, doesn't mean I did do that, but I'm just saying this idea of possibility. And I think that this is for a lot of people that are creative. You feel like it's possible. If you want to do something, it's possible. You just have to think about how you can do it. So I always felt possibility. And that possibility led me into a career being an artist with many different pathways that I could get into to use that ability to create things. And all of that was all great and wonderful until about 10 years ago, and I kind of hit a block. And is anyone ever hit a block? It's very frustrating when you hit a block, a creative block. But I not only did someone has raised their hand, and I'm going to get to you in just 1 second. I want to finish the story real quick, and then I'm gonna ask you about these creative blocks. But I hit it. Not only did I hit a creative block, I hit a professional block, and for the first time, I had to question what is being creative. I never thought about being creative. I never thought about how am I creative? Where does this even come from? And if any one of you are into any type of spirituality or anything like that, they will talk about things about source, connecting to source. Okay, I take a lot of coaching classes, and they're always talking about connecting to source. And if you're a creative person, we have a source. There's a source, and you just kind of take it for granted. If you're a creative, you're just like, okay, I'm just creative. All right, I can make music. All right, great. I can DJ. Great. I can write whatever. Never really question what is the source of that. So even though you are able to create possibilities, you can create something out of nothing. There is an engine. There is something that drives that. And that something is a realization, a breakthrough that I came to thinking about, well, you know what? Being creative doesn't mean that you're always able to do that. So you need something that you can call upon that can connect to this source of being creative. And the idea that came to me was about that you need a creative mindset, right? And those are two different words. So a mindset, we'll talk about what a mindset is, and we'll talk about what creative is. When you put those two things together, it's kind of like, I don't know if anyone here is a gamer, but I have kids that are gamers. So you'd call it kind of like a power up, like a upgrade, right? So creative mindset is about upgrading, okay? Taking what you do, taking this idea of creating something out of nothing, but then adding like an extra sauce to it, right? Now, someone had a question, and I'm going back there to just a second, if I can even find the hand. Where's the hand? Yes, who's had a block? Let's go here to the chat. Okay, someone here is saying, classical musician studying, I think had a block, like it was 18, 19. Help me, please. Yes. Well, I'm here to show you the door, and I'm going to give you some keys, but you have to walk through the door. All right. So this work is about walking through the door. Nobody can walk you through. You have to walk through the door, but I'll give you the keys, and I can vouch that this works in my life, and that the fact that I'm doing this right now is a result of a creative mindset. I definitely wasn't thinking I was going to do this in anywhere in my career, but here I am. So it is possible. So what we're talking about here is I have my little handy slide that you can't see. So creative mindset is about this idea of taking this ability to turn your ideas and your dreams and even situations into viable possibilities. Okay, viable is very important. So it's not just like a possibility, it's actually something that can be done, something that can be useful. But the mindset part is applying a unique or unconventional way of thinking. So as it turns out, when I hit my block, I think like a lot of people, you sort of reach outward first. You start reading things or tutorials or what is that person doing? Maybe let me jump on that. And it took a while before I realized that the issue, that the solution had to start from within. Okay. I had to question the assumptions that I had about being creative. And from there, I started to understand a little bit more about how I needed to approach this idea. All right. So some of you have talked about you have some blocks, but let's talk a little bit about what this creative mindset part is about. Okay, so when I'm saying this is not about creative process. Okay, we could do a whole workshop on creative process. So this is not that. And this is not about the creative field that you're in, or your title. Okay, so if you're a classical musician, it's not about your title. Okay, and I'll tell you why in a moment. It's not about these expectations of I'm creative, so I should be able to do X, Y, and Z. It's not that. But creative mindset does cover flexibility, the ability to be flexible in your mind, all right? Adaptability, failure. Failure is a huge thing. If you read biographies of a lot of people that are pioneers in a field or have had success, they failed a lot. You have to fail. Failure is wonderful, but you have to figure out how to make failure a really good thing. Self-awareness. And I'm going to ask you something to kind of test that a little bit. Self-awareness and perspective. Okay, perspective is a huge part of creative mindset. I don't know how many of you have heard about a fixed mindset. Anyone heard that term before? Fixed mindset. So a fixed mindset is, yep. All right. So if you heard about a fixed mindset, it's basically you could have one way that you're doing a thing. And creative people also can have a fixed mindset, right? Think about something that you do all the time. You think, okay, this is the answer, right? So if I don't have gigs, I do this. If I want to create a new track, I do this, I do that. We get into this idea of things can only be done this one way. And that's really is the fixed mindset. So creative mindset says, no, you can do whatever. If you believe in it, if you're willing to put effort into it to see it all the way to its conclusion, you have other options, right? So I'm going to ask you next noodle here is how are you creative? Absolute versus relative, absolutely. How are you creative? How are you creative? All right. When I ask you, how are you creative? Think about this first from a standpoint of this is not a reflection. This is a self-generated thing. How are you creative? What is your motivations in being creative? How are you creative? What is your thought process? How do you create? How are you creative? Are you a inspiration kind of creative? Are you have seen another person doing it and then that propels me into a certain idea? How are you creative? How do you function? Right? So this is your first noodle, your brain noodle is how are you creative? Have you even thought about that? How are you creative? And after you think about that, let's see if someone has some answers for me here in the chat. How are you creative? And I'm going to jump over here and see if I can find these hands up in the air, waving like you just don't care participants, which means that I'm going to lose some of y'all here. Okay. I cannot see the hands. I see hands are up, but I don't see the hands. When I create, it's because I feel something and try to externalize that feeling. So that's how you are creative. How are you creative? All right. Someone else going to jump in there. How are you creative? What is your thought process? What motivates you? Someone raise a hand, I think. Someone raise a hand. How are you creative? How are you creative? I react to other folks' work a lot. Very good. Very good. Me too. Interesting. Great. Anyone else? How are you creative? I need to get started and then it kind of flows. But starting is sometimes hard. Yes. Oh, there's some good answers in here. I play and challenge myself. Great. Wonderful. Oh, I see something here. Body feelings. The chat's moving fast. But that I'm not measuring up. I'm stealing in the wrong way. Wow, I had a wonderful class about influences and inspirations. Then I have body feelings, which turn into ideas. Oh, wonderful. These are great answers. All right, you all got it. I'm motivated to learn, explore new ideas, learn, or mess around with different things. Paper. Oh, wonderful. Great answer. So you got it. All right. You guys get a, what's the teacher give you when you get the it's not about getting the answers though, okay? This is not because that would be a fixed mindset to have an absolute, like, this is it, that's the answer, right? But it's really about curiosity and investigating and taking a moment to think. And as we go through this idea of creative mindset, you see that it's really about being curious, just investigating, just seeing, what's behind door number one? But there is a methodology to it. So it's a controlled chaos of food or dancing or ranting. Yes, all of that. I'm into it. I love that. Wonderful. So, okay. So now that you've got that a little bit, you've thought about a little bit, I want you, without any judgment, without any thought of why in the heck am I doing this? You've got your first 2-minute exercise. I just need to get my phone here and put on a timer, okay? So the prompt is here is this. How many ideas can you come up with in 2 minutes? Okay, and some instructions. I do not want you to judge the ideas. The ideas can be for personal or professional goals. You don't need to summarize them, so it can be just one idea, like, I would like to write some lyrics for blah, blah, blah. That's an idea, okay? I want to collaborate with this one singer, okay? Still some great things there in the chat, okay? So do we understand? I know you're going to have some questions. Give me more instructions. Give me more, but I don't want to give you instructions because that's part of the exercise and I'll tell you, I don't want to give it away why I'm making you do this way. So are we ready? Drop ready in the chat so I can start timer. Are we ready for this exercise? Ready, 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 steady, ready. Good. 1, 2, 3. Where's everybody? Ready, ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Come on, I need to see more readies before I hit my timer. If I can find a timer on the stupid phone. Timer. You can when we're done. All right. But right now, I want you to keep a record of these ideas on your own note-taking area because we're going to come back to these ideas further down. Okay. So, all right, ready. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Timer, where are you? Timer. What in the wide heck? Okay. Sorry, y'all. Let's see. Give me just a second here. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. This kind of got messed up here. All right. Time is up. Oh, come on, pause. Time is up. How did we make out? Before I tell you what the point of all this craziness was. How did we do? Who wrote a ton of 8 ideas? Wow, rock star. Okay, kind of. 6, 7, 10. Not wow, amazing. You all rock. Why are you countering into my? I so relate, Elena. That I so relate. I so relate. Totally. That would be me. Be like, okay, so I have to. It's work. It's a struggle. That's all I can tell you. It's a struggle. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to rate yourselves a little bit, just for fun, because you're wondering maybe you wondered what is the point of all of this. I'm going to ask you to measure yourself, but first I'm going to just tell you why I didn't give too much instructions. I think that when you're doing creative mindset, it's really a very slippery slope as you're giving ideas that are supposed to um, invoke flexibility and adaptability and unconventional approaches at the same time to tell people do this and do this and do that, because then it becomes prescriptive. And you want to avoid being prescriptive, because what I'm trying to do is to show you some different ways, but you actually really need to do the work yourself. So in a situation like the idea generator, the point of that was really for you to start your first idea, your first walk into a creative mindset is how flexible can you be? Okay. Are you going to be caught up in, oh no, it has to be perfect? Oh no, what am I doing here? Or are you just going to say, okay, let me just generate things. Let me just see what happens, right? There's no pressure. I'm just creating. I'm just providing possibilities for myself to be random, because from randomness could be some gems, right? So this is really a good way to start to give you an introduction into the master keys, as I'll call them, into unlocking creative mindsets. So I would love, I guess, for you, for fun, for yourselves, just rate yourselves. I'm not the one rating you, but just kind of rate yourself. It doesn't seem like it's fair, but remember, it's all in fun. It's all for development, assessment, reflection, right? So I want you to sort of measure your responses. Okay, give yourself points from a scale of 1 to 5. Okay, so 1 would mean the question I asked, you made no response, you did not engage. 2, you kind of did the thing, but you're not really sure what was going on. 3, you tried the best you could. 4, you really dug the thing, but you ran out of time. And 5, rock star, diva, whatever, You wrote the book and the thing. You're going to teach the workshop. I don't know. Okay. So just give yourself a few ratings. Okay. So your first question about this is when I asked you to do the idea, heads up, Kyle has raised their hand. I know, but I can't find the hand thing, man. Women, people, where is the hand thing? Help. Okay, let's see if I can find the hand thing here. In participants, yes, in participants. Okay, yes, someone raised. All right, I'm coming there. I'm coming there. Okay. Okay, no. I still can't see the hand, which is very frustrating for me. And what about the bottom? It's not there. It's not at the bottom of the box. And it's just very frustrating because I really do want to respond to you all, and I can't. Just bear with me just 1 second. It's lowered now. Sorry to distract you. I'm not distracted. We're here to learn. We're here to learn, and this is part of learning and part of having a creative mindset. You know, I'm living what I'm saying is that you can't get too hung up on stuck on things. You have to go with the flow. All right, so let's run through this real quickly. So measure your response, okay? So when I asked you to do this, did you dive right into the exercise? Okay, give yourself a point. 1, you didn't do nothing, which doesn't seem to be the case. 5, you just did the thing, okay? 5, nice, Hannah, great. 4, all right, dug the thing, ran out of time, cool. Who else? What you got? Anybody else? Okay, 4.5, ooh, 2. We had, but okay, cool, all right, good. Me too, wonderful. 3, all right. 5, I love it. I love the confidence. I love it. Why not? Why not give yourself 5? Okay, next question. You spent a lot of time thinking about the quality of your ideas. Okay. Who did that? Just spent so much time thinking about the quality of the ideas. 1 would mean you didn't do that. You didn't do that at all. 2, okay. Cool. 4, okay, cool. Excellent. All right, moving on. The limited time span of the exercise affected your ability to generate any ideas. Was anyone on that scale? Okay, yep, fair. Did not engage with that. Great. You all got this. I love it. Wonderful. Okay. Next question. Wait, I mean 4. Great. All right. Next question. You spent time wondering what the point of the exercise was, right? So on the other scale of this, some people would just be like, well, why am I doing this? So you just spend all your time just thinking about that. Did not engage with that. Wonderful. You all are just fantastic. And I'm not even going to ask question 5 because from the looks of this, you all did what you were supposed to. I would say question 5 was you were just stuck. You just couldn't think of anything at all. And I don't think that's the case for anyone because just from what I'm seeing here, that you all really got into it, which is wonderful. All right. So this is sort of like a bonus way for you to start to engage with creative mindset. We haven't even gotten to the keys. So let's hurry up here and get to the keys. as time is just moving on quite rapidly. All right. So I know this is blocked, but I just want to just get into, we've been talking about creative. We haven't even actually talked about the actual part, the mindset part of this. So mindset techniques have been around a very, very long time. The more popular ones or have science behind them. They have been researched and work well. And probably mindset techniques that you all have encountered. You've heard about positive thinking, positive psychology. All right. So that's a mindset technique. And basically, here I have a definition here that says a mindset technique is a tool, a mental tool, psychological tool that helps you to consistently get to a desired outcome. Right? The mindset technique frames the ideas, visions, and the dreams in a more pleasing manner. Okay. And this is important because it makes you feel like you're capable of doing the thing. And that's important for us as human beings. You have to feel like I have a chance at doing this. And because you feel you have a chance, you feel confident. But you need to have a level of self-awareness in order for those things to come together. So mindset technique is just really a way to sort of fast track you from the idea stage to the outcome stage. Because what happens to a lot of us that we might get an idea, but we're not quite sure what needs to happen in between to get to the outcome. So mind technique sort of puts you in a comfortable space to feel like it's possible. I can do this. What's the next step? What questions do I need to ask of myself? What resources do I need? So on and so forth. All right. So to unlock, we've talked about creative, we've talked about mindset technique. We're getting a little bit closer here. So we're going to get into our first master key, as I'm calling it, to unlock our mindset. We need a key. Think of this wonderful door. Think about yourself as a creative. You're in this wonderful place, in this field. Hopefully you have no allergies, but you're in this wonderful field. Just take an imagination walk with me, all right? And you see this beautiful golden door. It's just calls out to you. You want to go there because you're curious. You go, but can't get in. You want to get in. You need a key. You need the right key to get into this oasis, this paradise. So we need a master key. One of our first master keys is play. Right? Play. And research is pretty strong about this idea of playfulness. Okay. Not that you have to go out right now and start digging in the mud or anything like that. Just this idea of letting your guard down, of being free, of being childlike in a way. I don't know if any of you have little people, little humans that you know. But if you've ever watched them and been around them, there's a freedom there. And the freedom might be because, of course, they don't know what's really awaits them in the world, but also it's just because they don't have these hangups. So play is really, really important for creative mindset. How do you get playfulness into your adult world? And how does that actually apply to you being creative? Right? So the ideas behind play are really about being flexible, right? Being flexible. And that was part of the first exercise of the idea generator, is just sort of letting your mind go. So in a way, you're sort of playing around, letting your brain just come up with stuff. Hopefully not to-do list, which was one of my things. All right. So we're going to do a little exercise here. I think this was supposed to be a group exercise, but I'm not quite sure it's going to work out that way. So how I think I play. All right. This would have been something we would have done as a group. I don't think that we're going to be able to do that at all. So let me just think about this for just a second, how we could do playing. I think that what we're going to do is we're just going to come up with some thoughts. I want you to just think about that. All right. How I play. All right. Who plays? Who likes playing games? Okay. Type in 1. Me? Me? Who loves games? Okay, great. Who hates games? Yes, I love games. Me, I love games. I love games. I really love games. Okay, so that's your style of play. I would love it, okay? I think the way I'm going to do this, again, let's make this an imagination walk, okay? I'm going to also do a timer. And for my gamers, those that love games, you're going to look at your idea, all your ideas, Sudoku addict. Okay, but that's a thinking game, all right? So the type of game might be important, right? Games on the phone versus card games versus who was a kid did played outside a lot? Who loved playing outside? Just couldn't get enough. Anyone? Moi, me, always. All right. So enough with the gamers. I'm going to have an exercise for the gamers. Just 1 second. Okay. Who's the people that feel like they like taking risks? Okay. Like they're like, just like to put themselves out there and just see what happens. Me. Yes. Improvisation. Yes. That's risky. Totally. Mostly. Okay. Risky. Yeah. If you improvise, that just could be, who knows where that's going to go. Okay. All right. Now, next style of play, the explorers, okay? These are the people that are just curious about everything. How does this work? How does this look? What's behind door number 1? Who are the explorers, okay? These are all styles of play, explorer. When you were a kid, researcher, yes, okay? Now, remember, this is supposed to be childlike, right? So think of your style of play when you were a kid. Were you the ones that were like, all your friends are out running around, and you were sitting around looking at a piece of dirt on the ground and saying, what's going on here? Looking at a bug or unmaking things. Yes. Okay. So these are sort of explorers, just walking around, looking at stuff, destroy. Yes. Yes, I destroyed a lot of things exploring, much to my mom's chagrin. Okay, so we have gamers, risk takers, explorers. The next ones, I'd call them the storytellers, okay? So when you're a kid, you just love to tell tall tales, or you just had these imaginary friends. You just told all these stories. Who are the storytellers? Yep, me too. Stories. All right. So this is not just a random thing I'm telling you. Okay. This is an unlocking of a creative mindset. All right. Using play. This is actual strategy. Someone said, I need help. Okay. This is actual strategy when you're blocked, or when you're thinking about you're making a change in your lives, you're adapting. These are actual things that you can use to help you dig yourself and look at the world differently and get perspective and figure out, okay, what can I do? Right? I can gamify things. And we're going to talk about your ideas. How can you gamify an idea? Storytelling. All right. The last style of play is constructive, right? So you were the type of kid, you had your Legos, or you had some kind of set, or you just built stuff, and that was fun for you, right? Like my kids were like that. They just like putting stuff and, right, constructive style of play. You can create worlds out of a bunch of sticks, and you made a hut, or you built a fort in your house with pillows, okay? So just to move this along quickly, this is your master key 1. It's playfulness. Yeah, some of that too, right? Now, just very quickly, so we can keep moving through this. Look at some of the ideas that you wrote down. How can you infuse one of your styles of play into your idea, right? The point here is to see if you can infuse this energy, this childlike style of play to advance your idea, to take it to a completely different way than what you think, how you think it would develop, especially for someone that said, okay, I have a to-do list. How could you create music differently? How could you make a DJ set different? How could you write a song differently using this style of play? How could you do that? So this is the idea. Look at one of the ideas that you did in the idea generator. And if someone feels courageous, wants to take a risk, write me in the chat how you, based on one of these 5 styles of play, what is another way that you could deliver your idea, that you could see your idea through using one of these styles of play, right? Give you a minute, just think about that. And wonderful. There you go. Wonderful, Elena. Great. Anybody else? Yes, 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 DIY. Yes, yes. I made my own tinfoil disco venue. Perfect for lockdown, I'm telling you. This is the perfect time right now with lockdowns to use these style of plays to keep your mind from spiraling off into unknown terrain. Okay? So this would be more fun if we'd been able to do these kind of group breakout things and have you all just sort of go off in this way, but not to be. All right. So we've done this master key. Pretend I'm a character, right? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, this stuff works. It really works when you're stuck. Yes, of course. Pretend I'm a character. Write a leitmotif for myself. Right. Sorry about that. I'm with that now. Yes. Yes. Not everyone can see. Sometimes I can't see. Great. Now we're seeing the whole entire chat. One of my ideas was to document every day in 2021, one thing of daily news, and to make it more playful. I could paint it as some fictional story. Yes. Wonderful. Okay. So you're getting it. This is actual strategy that you can use right now to make things more interesting, to give you more possibilities, right? Moving on to mindset key number 2. One of my favorite things, and I did this maybe too much, is daydreaming, right? All right. Now this one, I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of responses. Who was a daydreamer in class? Always, all the time. Like, pay attention. Daydreaming. Who is daydreamers? Still am. Wonderful. Still, yep. Yep. Daydreamers. Well, we finally get validated. Vindication. Daydreaming, it turns out, is good for us. Okay? It's really good for us. Science backs it. It's actually a way to relax. It actually makes you think better. It actually helps you come up with more creative ideas. It's good to daydream. And there's actually, we're going to do a deliberate daydream. Of course, it's all things as we learn more, we put more things in place to make sure we actually access the thing, because we're adults and we forget how to do things. And we actually need ways to learn how to get back to these wonderful things that we did randomly without even thinking about it, right? So daydreaming, of course, there's book definitions of them, but I have my own definition, sort of a seemingly random, disassociated train of thought that probably occurs at an inopportune or inappropriate time, right? So like you're sitting in a Zoom workshop and you're like, wow, I really need to take a nap. But none of you are napping. You're great participants and I really love it. So daydreaming, that's master key too. So far we've talked about playfulness. Um, and there is actually a movement behind purposeful daydreaming, right? So as opposed to sitting somewhere and just sort of going on in your own tangent when it's not really the right time and you really need to pay attention, you can actually call upon it as a source and use it in your work as you want it, right? So you can own it. You can own your daydreaming, okay? So deliberate daydreaming is that capacity to be in reverie with your own imagination, ideas, and visions. That's not my words, okay? I forgot to put quotations. Oh, I did, okay? So basically what that's just saying in very plain terms is that it's really just being in control of this idea of daydreaming and saying purposefully, you know what, I'm going to sit down right now and I'm just going to put on some music, or I'm just going to put on something on television, or just going to sit here and just let my mind just go wherever it wants to go. Hopefully, the mind is not going to go on your to-do list, right? So I'm just trying to see here, time-wise, if we have enough time to do purposeful daydreaming, and it seems like we don't. But I'm going to send you these slides, and I want you to practice purposeful daydreaming. And if you feel inclined, I would love it if you can send me some responses, how that works for you. If you can send me an email, I'll give you my email at the end. If you feel like you want to do that, I would be very happy to hear from you about that. So purposeful daydreaming, all right? That's master key 2, all right? Master key 3, and this one should be familiar to most of us in some way, is mindfulness. Mindfulness has a lot of science behind it. It really works. It really helps you to sort of calm your mind and get clear about what you really want to do, or just really just be in the now. So it helps to give you an awareness, a self-awareness, which is really important in a creative mindset, is to just accept this is who I am, this is how I work, this is how I create, this is how I can motivate myself. So mindfulness really helps to ground that in, right? One of the next favorite things, master key 4, is visualization. If you remember earlier when I was talking about the first master key, I was talking about a golden door. And I was trying to set the tone. I was trying to create a visualization, basically, a way for you to sort of imagine what I was saying. So visualization is one of the most practical ways for you to get started right now on making forward motion on maybe somewhere you've been stuck in a project or you're not sure where to go next. Visualization is a technique that's been popularized a lot by athletes or high performing people, very successful people. It's a mental rehearsal. So the way it works is you have an idea and you actually start to imagine all the steps it will take, how you will feel, who will be there. You basically play the whole thing out, okay? It's your own movie, start to finish. And you do it so much that you don't even have to think about it. It's just like breathing, okay? For instance, during this workshop, I had to think about all the different ways, what could happen. I had a visualization of how possibly I would want this workshop to go, right? So this is a technique that can help you to start to imagine, what do I need to do next? And if you can't figure out what you need to do next, then you know, I need to stop. Now, I'm going to give you one thing we're going to stop and do right now. Something I discovered recently that can help you to start to put this in practice. It's a technique, it's called WHOOP. That's an acronym. Wish Outcome Obstacle Plan. It's a science-based mental strategy to help people find and fulfill their wishes. So the way this works, we are going to do this last exercise. It's 11, so we're just about at the end here. You're going to try this. Whoop is online. You can do it, and it's also an app, so you can download. So I'm going to just take you there really quickly, just so you see what Whoop is. Okay, so what this is, what it helps you do is actually play out in real time your ideas. All right, so what you would do with this, as you see, it's giving you a prompt there. What you do with this is you would take these ideas, like let's say we have these ideas today here. Maybe one or two of those you thought, you know what, this is something I want to try out. So you basically, it lets you play this thing out. It lets you play this out. What do I wish? What could stop me from doing this? Maybe it's a matter of money. Maybe it's a matter of resources. Maybe it's because you're in a lockdown. Whatever the obstacles are, it'll help you to list them out, to work them through. And as you're done with those obstacles, and say, okay, great. What would you like? What was the outcome you would like? Right? And all right, I would like to ultimately that it turns into that. Great. All right, what's your plan? And what happens if this plan doesn't happen? What's your backup plan? So it helps you just sort of see where there's strengths, where there's weaknesses, and what you need to do in order to make sure, to ensure that you actually see your plan all the way through, right? Who's had an issue where you had an idea and it just didn't work? Something got in the way. What are some of the obstacles that you face when you're trying to get something done, when you're trying to bring your ideas to life? Timing, yes. What else? What's some other obstacles? Fear. Whew. Yeah, that's a big one. Fear. Money. Yep. Y'all need some whoop in your life. Okay. Money. Creative mindset will help a lot. Lack of self-confidence. Yes. This is all real. I love you being very open. Wonderful. Second guessing. Yes. This is all very real, and we each go through this in varying stages. But I can tell you that there is help, and there is feeling senseless about the art system, right? Yeah, let me read some of these answers. I'm sorry, I was supposed to read. Some people are talking about doubting themselves, second guessing, a lack of money, timing, fear, conflicting deadlines, timing, perfection. Woo! Yeah, I lived with that for a very long time. And but again, you need a system, you need a way to get yourself through these things, and you just can't do it by willpower. I'm telling you right now, this is not a willpower. You can't will yourself out of this. Perfection, yep, perfection. All right, I would love it if you each can engage with this thing with whoop. Okay, it's not going to be the cure-all. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it's going to make you look at what you do in a real way and help you to see if you're maybe not thinking properly or realistically or in the right way about what stands in your way. A lot of the things that you talked about here in the chat are all real things, are all things that happen to each one of us in different ways. They manifest in different ways at different times, in opportune times. But if you practice, if you start even one of these mindset keys, it can really be powerful in starting to shift. There is a Whoop app. Yes, you can find it in the App Store. I have it on my iPhone. I believe it's also on Android. If nothing else, it's fun. All right. You can play around with it in this playfulness and just throw in an idea and see where it goes. But if you do it enough, you might actually start to get some answers, actually start to see where you get stuck. Is it in the same place all the time? Like you do step 1 and 2, and then at 3, you get stuck and you give up. Or do you get very close to the end and then all of a sudden you're like, I quit. Okay. So it really helps you to play it out. But visualization is about playing it out in a safe way, in a safe space, right? So you can take the risks. You can take all the risks you want. No one's going to tell you no except yourself. So you really have to overcome yourself and your instincts to say, no, I can't. You're just playing it out. Like we talked about, like with kids. Kids are not thinking about, oh, I'm going to get hurt or any. It's later we learn this conditioning, right? So visualization gives you that freedom to just play it out. What could happen? What if I do that? What if there was no fear? What could I do? What if timing wasn't a problem? What's possible, right? What if I didn't doubt myself? How much could I do? So it gives you that, right? And moving on here a little bit here to the last key that I'm going to talk about. By the way, there's many, many more master keys. I only just touched on these ones here, and that's adversity, right? So you've heard about this expression about forged through the fire. What doesn't break us makes us stronger. So adversity, of course, would be an obstacle, a challenge, something unexpected that gets in your way, right? Being right now in the world that we're in right now with the pandemic going on and lockdowns, this is really a gigantic challenge for all of us right now. And we've all dealt with it in our own way. So how do you deal with adversity? All right. So I'm just going to ask you, it's kind of one of my last questions. How do you deal? And how can you use adversity in a creative mindset? How do you deal with obstacle? Okay. What happens? Someone dropped me something here in the chat. What do you do when you get hit with something that is unexpected? Great. In general, okay? Adversity makes me more creative in general. Ask for guidance, freak out. Okay, that's fair, freak out. What else? What do you do? What do you do when panic? Okay, I turn to my friends for love and understanding. Wonderful. Play, search for solutions from books or internet. Okay. Distraction. Okay. Yep. Get a nice meal. Yes. Being creative is a way for me to deal with adversity. Get a nice meal. Yes, I'm all for nice meals. Yoga. Wonderful. Okay. Many ways. So I talked about earlier, show some love to other folks. That's wonderful. I talked about this idea of panic, let myself freak out, then love on myself, some way to gather myself, and then start sorting resources and help. Yes, okay, you're playing it all out right there. So adversity is very important to this process of a creative mindset because it really tests all the things that I talked about in the beginning. It really tests your ability to be flexible, to be adaptable, to handle failures, to gain perspective. So this is really like the master, like yogi, guru, ninja type status of creative mindset is taking adversity head on and saying, all right, this sucks. All right. All my gear got jacked up. Wow, what am I going to do? I don't have money to fix all this stuff that just broke and I need to work. Right. My gig canceled on me and I need money for my rent. Okay. These are all real problems that it can be very, very critical how you look at this. Okay, those are life things, but of course, life things are your life things, creative or not. So, adversity is one of the biggest master keys. If you can figure out how to turn adversity into advantage, you're well on your way. And that's a master skill. It takes time to actually believe that you can turn an obstacle into something meaningful and potentially transformational in your creative life, right? So adversity would be the last master key that you could use to get a better grip on your goals and your life and your professional career, is being able to turn things around. Okay. So, in summary, there are more keys to uncover. We've just sort of touched on the surface here a little bit about this idea of a creative mindset. And I hope I've just gotten you somewhere where you can just understand just the beginnings of what I mean and how this can be really, really helpful and really sort of like bring more meaning and more depth and more progress in the goals that you have for yourself, right? So we discussed mastering play as a key, purposeful daydreaming, mindfulness, visualization, and adversity, right? So we're going to just get here to the end. Time just sort of went here very quickly. Again, if any one of you is interested in mentoring, coaching with me, you have to go on my website and I would love to talk to you. Okay, so we are in that portion of the Q&A. Right, thank you all very much. Okay, who's got questions? Who got questions? Who got questions? I'm here for you. Who has some questions? Who has something they want to ask? I don't know what to do. I'm going to stop the sharing now. And voila. Okay, so who got something to say? I'm curious about the daydreaming thing. How do you stop thinking about your to-do? How do you stop? Anytime you put the word deliberate in something, you are telling yourself that, hey, it's time to get serious. It's time to take a moment, to take a beat, and to daydream. I think it's also a little bit like meditating. Who meditates? Did anyone meditate? Yep. Okay. When I first started meditating, it was me a little. It was very difficult because that is what I thought about, is my to-do list. And I just was like, why can I not meditate? And exactly. Okay. So I think here the key is about going back a little bit into self-awareness, is like, what moves me? What works for me to get me in a state of flow, in a state of peacefulness. For some people, it's complete silence. For others, it's white noise. For others, it's I have to be around nature, or I have to be in a certain place. So I think to daydream properly, deliberately, is to first see what are the things that move you, what are the things that work for you in terms of finding quiet within. And if you can identify those things, then you will be on your way to being able to not think about your to-do list. And also just give yourself some prompts like, this is my time. Tell yourself, this is my time. I need this time. I need 5 minutes of my time. I need this. This is for me. It's very important to give yourself these affirmations and say, I'm doing something for myself, for me, only for me. I could take 5 minutes just for me. Um, and if you can tell yourself that all the time, then you might get closer to sort of putting the to-do list um, to the side so that you can do this little thing for yourself that will help you to actually accomplish. Another way to think about this, like if you do this and you do this well, you're going to go through your to-do list a whole lot easier. All right, how do you come over perfection? Um, Perfection comes from fear, fear of failing, fear of um, being seen as who you are. So overcoming perfection from a personal and as a professional standpoint is about sort of accepting. It's really about self-acceptance and saying, this is who I am, this is what I'm working with, and I'm embracing that. And I want to recognize where I'm strong, what I'm good in, and what I'm not so good in, but I want to get better at. And I think if you turn it more into a practical thing where it's like, okay, look, I'm really great at this one thing. I'm great at engineering, as an example, but I'm not so great at songwriting. Um, but I want to get better. Once you start to look at it in terms of like, hey, this is an opportunity for me to improve certain areas, you focus less on it being this one thing being perfect. Because when you're perfect, you're obsessing over one thing. You're obsessively thinking about this one thing. This has got to be perfect. Okay. I really relate to this because I am a reformed perfectionist. I didn't realize for many years I was perfectionist until I would spend so much time on one thing, something stupid like a font, that I'd be like, forget the whole giant thing. So it's really about feeling inadequate. So you obsess over this one thing, feeling inadequate in one thing. So you obsess over this one thing. So if you could just, first of all, practice self-acceptance, and that's a bigger conversation, a bigger life-changing way of looking at yourself. You need to practice self-acceptance. If you have mindfulness techniques that you can employ, um, that sort of give you the affirmation of self-acceptance, you will start to move past perfectionism and more into, this is what I'm working with, this is what I'm really good at, and that's great. I'm good at this one thing, and I can be good in other things, and I'm going to focus on the things I'm not so great at, improving it if I want to. That's one way to start to deal with perfectionism. Thank you. Anybody else? I'd love to answer any questions you have. No one else has any questions? How do you organize yourself? Like knowing what needs to go first or take priority, and what are the things that wait? I need to leave now, but thanks so much for this advice. Really inspiring. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, how do you organize yourself? I could tell you quickly how I organize myself, and what I teach other people, because I coach people personally and mentor people. I actually have a system I came up recently for a friend of mine that's a singer that I coach professionally. And I have a very simple thing that I did. And one of the things that I did was we have a system that we call a brain dump. So it's kind of like this idea generator, except that it's for your to-do list, right? So you just dump everything. You sit down and you say, I'm going to take 5-10 minutes of my life. I'm going to just dump out, just dump like garbage, just dump out everything that I'm thinking about that needs to be done. And then you just start assigning numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you say, number 1 is things I need to do this week. Like, the world's going to end. My world's going to end if these things don't get done this week. Number 2 is these things need to be done, but they can be done next week. Number 3, these things need to be done, but they can wait maybe 3 weeks, and so on and so forth. And as you shift things off of list number 1, you try to take things from 2 and you put them to 1, even though other things are coming in. So it's really a system of just kind of like saying, not everything can be done at once, but I need to assign levels of priority. And number two, one of the things I really practice a lot with people is taking big things and breaking it down into really tiny steps so that you get a sense of accomplishment. Because one of the things with organization is that you look at this big, gigantic thing and you say, I can't, or you just can't see your way out of it because it's so gigantic and you don't even feel any sense of accomplishment, even if you do a thing. So if you just manage to learn how to break down, and the visualization can help with that, but there's other practical things that I would teach people that help you to break down little tiny things. So you say, all right, I did this for 5 minutes, and that's good. At least I did 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, a drop a day can really make a huge difference. Right, that's what I would do. Okay, yes, PDF. You can write an email, but I think what would be the best way for me to get the slides to the people? Should I send it to you directly? I'll think about that, but you will get the slides. I will need, you can upload them here. In this chat right now, well, I think I could, or you can, again, if anyone feels good about, here, I'm also just gonna drop my email here. If anyone feels okay, they wanna write me directly, they can, but let's see. I will send it to Dice, and maybe Dice can send it out to everyone, or you can also write me here directly. This is my email. Yeah, please, so feel free, if you want to write me directly, more than welcome. Just say, hey, I just was in your workshop and I would love to get the slides, because it's always, actually have to always clean up my slides a little bit because I make them primarily for me. So I just have to clean them up a little bit and make them, you know, presentable to you, the people. Someone else just asked a quick question. I think that we have maybe time for one more. Someone, if I can run back in the chat. Can you give a sketch of an example how you developed a piece of art or music? Example. Okay, an example of how I developed. Actually, I've had quite a busy year musically, trying to create music, and not just for me, for other people. I've had a lot of, thankfully, a lot of work musically, and so I reached a point where it was just really very difficult to sort of keep up with all of that and do other things. So one of the things I like to do when I'm getting ready to start something special for someone else is, how I create a lot of times is to not listen to music. I look to other mediums. One of the things that I love to look at the most is films that have an inspirational quality. So sometimes I look at films or even documentaries about nature, or if I get a theme, I might read a book, just something to put me in the space of what I want to create. So recently, I've been a lot into a lot of jazz more than ever. So I've just been watching documentaries about jazz musicians and about adversity and about many different ways that people get inspired to create the music that they do. So I really just watch documentaries, and then from that, I just started thinking, okay, I have to get into the mind of a jazz musician. What would I be thinking? What would I be feeling? What are the conditions that are going on? What's my environment? And then just thinking, how could I express that musically? What do I need to put in place to express that musically? So I start to, in one end, there is this inspiration that flows, and I get ideas and I write them down. And then the other end, I get very technical in the sense of, I actually use this visualization to sort of map it out. Like, this is how I see this playing out. Okay, I would love this to be maybe 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, I could start to think about bigger ideas in those 5 minutes, in terms of, I want this to be moody like this, and then this to be sort of crazy. And then it sort of comes back to moodiness. So I can think about that. And then I can think about, what instruments do I need to put in place in order to invoke this feeling? So it can get very detailed in terms of my thought process. But again, it's just about making sure that I really get that outcome that I want, as opposed to guessing. See, when I was younger as a musician, it was really just like, I'm creative, I just go do it. But as now the time is gone, I've been doing this for 25 something years. It's not so easy to just pull an idea out of the ether. So this is really, again, what creative mindset is about for me. It's just like having a more consistent way of getting what I need in order to have forward motion on my projects. I hope that answers your question. That was sort of a long-winded answer. I think that we're done, right? We have time for more, or could you suggest some books or films to improve our creativity? Yeah, there was a book I wanted to recommend. I think I'm gonna put it here. I think it's called Wired to Create. It's either Wired to Create or Wired to be Creative. Okay. And it actually really talks a lot about some of these same concepts that I put in here. I think it's called Wired to Create or Wired to be Creative. You can get it online. Yeah, that's a book I would definitely recommend, that really talks a lot about some of these things that I talked about. And it's all science-based, it's legitimate stuff. It's there you go. There you go. Wonderful. Thank you. Yep. So read that. I would definitely recommend that. Films to improve your creativity. Not a book, no book or film is going to improve your creativity, but practicing, just like practicing an instrument, you get better. Practicing at writing, you get better. Practicing these techniques will help unlock your own creativity. So all these things, even reading a book, it gives you ideas, it noodles your brain, it gets you sort of like thinking. It plants seeds, but you have to water the seeds. You have to do the work of how to slowly infuse these ideas into maybe a very small thing at the beginning and see, oh, you know what, that worked. Let me try that with something bigger, and so on and so forth. All right, does that answer a question? Anybody else? We have time for more. Should I quit while I'm ahead? We're good here? All right, I am going to call it a day, and really thank you so much. You've been a fantastic audience. I love that you participated, and I really thank you very much for your time. And again, if you want to reach out to me, my email is there. And if you're interested in coaching, mentoring, what have you, I do all that. And I would love to talk to you. But peace out. Enjoy the rest of your year. Let's make it through 2020 and pray that 2021 is going to be better. And yeah, woo. Okay, bye. Peace. Ciao.